Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of A Marseille Mama podcast with me, your host, Anna Bonasera, the podcast where basically I answer all the questions I had when I was first discovering my own ADHD and put into Google, into AI, and now I get to answer them for you on a personal level, on a way that AI can't answer. And today is very exciting because we have our first official guest of the podcast. Please welcome Iysha Barrett Morichon.
I can't believe I'm the first guest. That makes me feel very honoured. Thank you.
You're welcome. So me and Iysha are in like a mastermind type thing together. And Iysha is known as being a bit on the spicy side sexually. And I'm on the spicy side neurodivergent and always talk about getting my clothes off on stuff. So I thought that it was perfect for us to do a conversation together to talk all about just being a woman and being in touch with that sexual side that maybe we have lost during the way of motherhood or the other things that life has taken. So do you want to just share a bit about how you got here?
Yeah, so it's really interesting because I started, like when I was younger, I was super sexually active, probably like way too much, right? And then as I got older, I like realised that wasn't probably great. So I became celibate for quite a while. And then becoming a mum was
Wow.
like, what the hell? What do I do now with all of this? And I think it's the same in things like for you with things like ADHD, when we've got something that makes us like think about things a little differently or feels differently about ourselves. So it feels really important to have these conversations that are like open about this. And it's something that I'm really trying to do a lot more of in my work, because I feel like speaking about things that are normally like taboo really allow women a space to feel seen and release the shame, because I think for most of us, we end up with so much shame around like sex, money, power, death, all of these kinds of things. And even the way then we mother. I think it's really important to have these conversations. And that's like a lot of my work is with moms. So exploring a lot of these kind of more taboo subjects or things that then don't feel able to share in the wider world. So yeah.
Absolutely. And I think like as you become a mother, you kind of think you have to take on this role, right? Like you have to look a certain way, you have to act a certain way. You can't be, putting your own needs first. Like generally, health wise speaking, let alone thinking about your own like sexual needs and sexual desire.
Yeah. And I think it changes, doesn't it? Like your sexual desire changes because maybe just the way that you're feeling about yourself, the way you're feeling in your body changes. So then your desire also changes, but then you're also really tired. And I think one of the big things that I've been thinking about lately is the way we kind of cut ourselves off from sex. It's like, oh, it's just easier if I just cut myself off from it, rather than actually try and figure out what it is and why it is that I'm not feeling like I want to engage in this act. And other people are quite different. I think there's a real difference. Some people are like, oh my gosh, all I want to do is like rip my partner's clothes off. And other women are like, I cannot think of anything worse than like having sex right now, because, well, for loads of reasons. But I think finding a connection to ourselves and asking ourselves the hard questions sometimes, because I remember after my first daughter was born, I was like, I am never having sex ever again. Like categorically not doing it ever again. After my second daughter was born, I was like, maybe a few hours after, I was like, I felt really like turned on and like so powerful. And I was like, oh, I want to just like get into it. And I really can't. And I think it's just.
That's so funny.
Well, I think we have to
Such
honour
different
those things.
reactions.
Yeah. But I think it depends on our experiences too, doesn't it? If you've had a really traumatic birth, then you probably like the shop's kind of closed.
Yes, definitely. I mean, I think for me, I've had very different journeys with all 4 pregnancies, 5 kids. And it's taken me, I think, longer this time round with having Mila to get back to myself and to actually feel like I'm in a place where I want to have sex. And that probably has largely to do because she is exclusively breastfed and not anymore, she's 3, but she literally still is attached to me all night pretty much. We just about got her to go to sleep in her own bed. So now we're starting to like actually be able to get some time where we can actually be alone in bed together to actually have those feelings. And yeah, I know you've breastfed as well. with your girls. So I think that has a big factor for me, that having her attached to me has really made me struggle to get back to that place.
Yeah, I get it. It's really tricky. And then, like, we co-sleep. We're like a co-sleeping family. So we literally don't have any nighttime.
Wow.
So I'm like, I always like laugh because I'm like, you don't want to sit on my sofa.
Yeah.
You probably don't want to eat like at my kitchen table. Like you just have to. And I'm like, I'm kind of saying that with a bit cheekily, but it's something that you have to find and make space for. And I think you have to get creative when you've got kids, and especially so different. I've got 2 kids, you've got 5 kids, that's a hell of a lot different to try to make time and space for. But I think, I keep saying to myself, the best thing that ever happened to us was my husband started working nights. So then he would be at home then in the day. And I was just like, oh, kids are at
Right.
school, perfect, it was like one thing that then didn't enter the equation because, when I've got like 2 kids in the bed, one hanging off a breast, the other like clinging to you, it's hardly very sexy. But equally, I think it's like, what do we call sexy? Because it's the same. I know you speak a lot about confidence, and I think about sexy as being and like feeling turned on isn't what people think it is. Because for me, it's like a really internal feeling that we can come into connection with just as confidence is. So that, like, I look at a flower sometimes and I'm like, oh my God, it's so sexy. It really turns me on because I just can find something so beautiful in that. And I think when you can cultivate that, anything can become like a moment of intimacy, a moment of like with a partner, a moment of sex with a partner, we can like be more
Yeah.
imaginative and creative. I kind of think we get so boxed in that it's like happens at night in the bed,
Mm.
because that's like traditionally what we imagine. But sometimes it's like, right, well, we can't do that thing. So what else can we do so we can keep this alive and keep this connection between us? Because it is so, so fundamental to life and to our relationship, to a relationship.
Yeah, I definitely feel like when we've had those longer periods of time where we haven't had sex or been intimate, it's put a lot of, like, not that part, but we have felt further apart and more stressed because we aren't spending time together. Like, even just spending time together, I think is really important, just the two of you. And not, he doesn't work nights, my husband, but he works 4 days on, 4 days off. So we do have some days where he isn't with the kids. He isn't where the kids are at school and he's at home with me. And like sometimes I'm like, right, okay, I finished my call at 2 o'clock. I'll
Be
see you
ready.
then. And we like, yeah, we make an appointment. And I think sometimes it's like, oh, do we really have to schedule in sex? But actually, it sometimes you need to just get over the hump.
Literally, get on the hump.
Literally.
No, but I think, right, I say this to clients sometimes. I'm like, literally, if you have to schedule it in, because I also have this thing where, everyone's libidos are slightly different. And if we don't have a matching libido with a partner, like they're someone who wants to have sex like 5 times a day and you're someone who wants it once a month, then we have to come to kind of some compromise in that. Is what I truly feel. So I say, like, if you have to come to an agreement that 3 times a week is the minimum, and then any more than that's a bonus, and you have to schedule in like, well, this is when we're going to do it. Sometimes you just have to do that. And then the spontaneous moments that can come alongside can be allowed, but sometimes we just have to schedule it in because that's the only way it's going to happen.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think for me, I have got more of my own libido back. And that's actually mostly because I've been actually looking after myself. I feel like I'm finally kind of getting out of, even though we still have lots of challenges in life, I'm having 4 days a week now where I don't have the kids and I am working, but in between those times, I'm making sure I schedule in like going swimming. And I've seen a knock on effect of it, being able to do that and understand how I work as well with like all the ADHD work, like understanding what triggers me, what I really struggle with, and having that really great understanding about me has helped me to like schedule in time to exercise, eat better as well, and like stick to it. Like whereas before I'd be like, oh, I have to eat healthy, and now it's more like a right, what choices can I make so that I don't feel like shit? And then it's had that knock-on effect of actually then my libido is back, and I feel like it's like a breath of fresh air to actually want to do it. Because I think for so long it's just been one of those things where like, come on then, let's do it.
Yeah. And then it kind of takes a bit of the the magic and the pleasure out of it, doesn't it? When we kind of feel that way. And I was the same, I was like, oh, I didn't feel great in my body. I was a lot heavier than like I felt comfortable with. And then I was like looking at myself and not feeling very confident. And then I had like loads on, trying to like juggle loads of things, and I was just always so in my head. I used to like teach loads of yoga classes, so I was always like really physically connected to my body. But after having the two kids, it like reduced loads. So for me, again, it's kind of similar, like getting back to that, like connecting to my body. How does my body feel? Like, how can I move it so it feels good? And, like one of the things I do is like just dance. I'm like, oh, I don't want to go to the gym and I don't want to like lift weights, but actually what can I do right now? Oh, I can put on some music and I can dance. I can move my hips. I can feel like I'm in my body. And then after that, I'm usually like, oh, well, like now, where's he at? And I think it's finding the things that wake us up and that aliven us and that do become like those little practices and little things we can go to feel turned on. And it's the same with food. Like, what food makes us feel really good? What food makes us feel good in our bodies, and obviously like aphrodisiacs, but just what feels good for us in the moment, and how can we bring more of that in so then, yeah, we can get back into that like powerful libidinal energy.
Yes, I love that. And I'm the same. I'm a kitchen disco dancer. I love having a boogie at any point in the day, really. Like, make the kids get involved, having a boogie in the kitchen. I think any exercise is got to be good for you. Got to be good for you.
Exactly. And like dancing, it's so easy. It's free. It's like you can just do it well, I say anywhere, but you can just do it where you
Yeah.
hear music. If you feel it, then you can just go with it. You don't have to like plan it in so for me, that's just always, it's just so straightforward to do.
Go to. I love it. So right now, with working with clients, what are you seeing any like common themes with people that maybe our listeners might also share?
I think one of the biggest things that I see a lot is that this like whole thing of, you become a mom and that means that you are a certain way. Like that means you are like a good mum, essentially, which is like, you give all of your energy into kind of your kids and into family life and into looking after a home, maybe into your career as well. And you're trying to like juggle all the things, and basically you end up doing nothing in the ways that you wanted to, perhaps. And I think it's almost like a good girl kind of conditioning that most of us as women grow
Yeah.
up with. And then we become mums and it's like, well, now I just flip from the good girl into the good mother. So I show up in this particular way that makes me look all neat and tidy. Whereas to me, that's not what mothers are. Look at mothers in nature. They are fierce. They are fucking wild, like so wild. They will fight
Yeah.
at any point. And even the earth, like I always look at volcanoes and rivers and the ocean, to me, that's all like got that same kind of feel to it, like that mothery energy. And I'm like, they're all really fierce. So why are we thinking as mums we have to fit into this like good girl and like show up in a certain way? And why aren't we sexy? Why aren't we feeling turned on? And then it's as if like, oh, well, we can't possibly be that around our children. But I'm like, well, our children need to know that, like, see that it's okay to not like sell all of yourself short because you've just chosen to become a mother, because ultimately the way that you got to be a mum was like sex. It's
Yeah. When
the
it
only,
all comes down to it.
yeah, well, and it's like the force that creates life. Yet we're like, we shouldn't really want that anymore. It's like, why? This is literally how everyone on the planet is here right now.
Yeah, that's so true. And then it makes me link back to my favorite acronym right now, which is FOPO, fear of other people's opinions.
Yes,
This whole like, we have to look like this perfect mother, we have to act a certain way. God forbid we have sexual desires and wants and needs and want to be our own person and spend time with our partner rather than just completely, fully immerse ourselves in motherhood. It's, yeah, fear of other people's opinions of what would so and so think, what would so and so say. Oh, it will look bad. To who?
exactly.
Who would it look bad to? What does their opinions actually matter? Because they're probably having the same thoughts too. That's what I always say is like, if you think you're being judged for something like that, they're probably, if they are thinking it, they're probably jealous because they would like to be more like it. Or they're thinking, why can't I be like that? Why can't I be that brave? Why can't I be that confident to be that sexy, fierce woman?
Yeah, and you know, it's really difficult because I think we're so conditioned into it because we have been for like centuries, really. You know, so and again, it's the same with sex. I always have said that on the one hand, like being promiscuous in my younger years wasn't like probably the most honouring thing of myself and of my body, etc., etc. However, I have been always connected to my sex.
Mm,
So for me, it was just a case of like for a while having to turn it off and like learn more about it. But for people who have never, ever really been in touch with it, even, you
yeah,
know, as like before motherhood or at any stage in life, that sometimes can be the hardest because you're like, well, how do I even touch that part of me
yeah,
if you've never, you know, if you've never known it? So I think there's some women who are in that camp where they're like, well, I've never really like I've done it because it's just what you do, but I've never really enjoyed it or I've not been in connection with the pleasure that comes from that. But or even how many of us as women like deny ourselves pleasure, any kind of pleasure in
mm,
general, you
yeah,
know? I remember speaking when I was a teenager about self-pleasure and someone was like, what? And I was like, I mean, don't tell me you're not
really?
doing it, girlfriend, because like, I'm pretty sure we all are. Anyway, and I remember going into the school bathrooms and someone had like drawn like a picture of me and like written something really horrible around it. And I remember I never spoke of it ever again
No,
until I was like 19 and I was like living with this, with one of my friends at uni. And then we started speaking about, and it's all we ever really spoke about, things like that, you know? And I was like, oh, see, it is really normal. But I'd been made to feel as if I was so abnormal at this point.
yeah.
And it's again, it's like, as women, it's like, oh, you're not allowed to do that. Whereas if a boy is like, oh yeah, I
Mm,
jacked off like 3 times this night, we're like, yeah, big man.
love
But
that dance.
for women, we're like, I know you shouldn't touch yourself, you know, you shouldn't possibly do that.
Yeah, I definitely felt like when I was at school, I was the odd one out because I was the one like ordering stuff from like Ann Summers. And then
Love it.
I remember once one of my friends, like because I just got it ordered to my mum's house, like when I was like, what, 18, 19, and it just comes in discreet boxes. And my friend was like, will you order one for me to your house? So I was like, yeah, go on then. And then I think she got scared and then returned it.
That's so funny.
But I was like, yeah, I was definitely the one where I was like, you're not doing it. And luckily no one did that. That's really horrible. But I think it is such a like difference in between the genders is like for men, it's like so normal to talk about. And like, I can just imagine them all like they always get it out, don't they? They're always like getting their wangs out in front of each other and be like, wee.
Yeah.
Whereas women, we're so like, oh God, can't imagine doing that.
Yeah. No, and then women who do it, we're like, you know, I always love all of the things that you
Promiscuous.
share in your underwear. I'm like literally just want to get in my underwear with Anna somewhere, you know, because it feels so powerful because
No.
it's
I
like
know.
empowering and liberating to see a woman just being able to own her body.
I know. I feel like we're going to have to plan something. I haven't done stuff in my underwear since before lockdown. I feel like we need to plan some kind of event where we're in our underwear doing something. So I don't know what yet, but you've heard it here first.
Well, you know, I think things are changing now because there's loads more people speaking about like body positivity or, you know, owning our bodies. And I think there's a lot more of that in the world in general than there has been in the past, you know. I think we're like, on the one hand, lucky to live in times where it's becoming a bit more normal.
I think we have gone backwards, if I'm honest with it, because when I was doing really immersed into body positivity almost 8 years ago, I kind of started my journey after I had Spencer. I really I don't know what clicked. Just I was driving in the car one day after having him, and I was like, I just really love my body. And I was probably then like the biggest I'd been at that point. And I said, I'm even a bit bigger now, or maybe the same, similar. And I just felt really like in love with my body. And I think it helped. Like I finally had a really good relationship because I had my now husband. Whereas with my older three boys' dad, it wasn't a great relationship. It wasn't terrible, but we clashed. We're both Tauruses. And having like a husband who was really supportive and yeah, I just felt, I guess, safe and secure to be outside my body. And then that's when I kind of like did all the things and in my underwear and stuff after then. And it got to the point where I felt like everyone was talking about body positivity at that time. There were so many creators and stuff. And it felt like a really loud place to be. And then during lockdown, I kind of pivoted a bit away from it towards the end of lockdown and doing other things. I kind of just think I got burnt out from doing it all. And now I kind of feel like we've gone backwards because some of those creators have kind of gone back on themselves and like they're doing like the skinny jabs and stuff.
Mm,
And I don't have anything against anyone who takes the skinny jabs because I know why people do it out of, health reasons. Some people out of pure desperation to just feel accepted. But I also think that they are we just don't know what is going to come out of it in a few years' time and the health risks it can have. And I just think it is just desperately sad that we live in a world where we feel like to be skinny is to be accepted. And that is definitely something that I want to go back to talking more about because I went on that journey 8 years ago and I still have such a good relationship with my body, even though my weight has fluctuated up and down and I've had another baby. And I got stuck in a conversation the other day between two mums and they were both on the jabs and they have both lost a lot of weight. And they were talking to each other and they were saying about it. And then they were like, don't you just feel good that you can just get up every day and put on what you want? And I was like, I do that anyway. And I know that's a mindset thing. And that's been a journey for me to get
for
there.
sure.
But then they were still complaining about other bits that were like hanging and stuff and they might have surgery. And I was thinking, the journey, you've done one part, but the other part you haven't done is the mindset stuff. So you're going to get stuck in that cycle of still self-hating and self-loathing and looking at yourself through other people's eyes and criticizing yourself. So it's such a hard one.
Completely. And it goes on both ways because, so I always think growing up as like a millennial, we grew up with like heroin chic was like the thing, like Kate Moss and Naomi Campbell, and they were like so skinny, and like skinny was so in. The magazines would be like slating like a celebrity who was like a size 10, and then things like moved on a bit, but then people like the Kardashians became like the new trend, which was also like a really extreme because it was all through surgery. So then it became like almost like a dysmorphism that we kind of began to appreciate. So then I think on all ends of this spectrum, it's so dangerous because we go from like heroin chic to these bodies that are like so unattainable, apart from perhaps for like a very few select women who like naturally have like very big hips, big bottoms, tiny waists and breasts. But most women don't look like that. So we kind of go through these extremes and then you're in the middle with just normal bodies, have babies, you've got saggy tummies, breasts are like not quite where they used to be, different sizes, all of the things. And it can be hard to love yourself, but then it's like, also, I keep thinking every time I look at my body and I feel like a certain way, I'm like, I made and carried humans. Like, that's sensational. Like, literally, that's amazing.
Absolutely.
And even as a woman, if you've not been through that, the fact that your body holds the capacity to do that, the fact that like every month, because for me, it even comes down to how we feel about our menstrual cycles, because we're often taught to like hate them. They're impractical, they're inconvenient, they're not good, they're horrible. And yeah, for some people, they're challenging, but then we're already like hating the thing that makes us a woman. And that same blood that we bleed is the blood that also creates life. And it's like, it's all so connected. So for me, it's like, how can you ever be connected to your body in a positive sense if each month you're going to be like, oh God, it's horrible. It's like terrible. I've got this thing that means I can't do anything. And whereas it's like, embrace what it is that makes us women and really loving all of that. Lumps, bumps, dimples, good bits, less happy bits, and try to really learn to love our bodies as they are. And then if we want then to change them in some ways, looking at how to do that in a way that respects our physiology, that respects our needs, because, one of the biggest, worst things any women can do is like low fat diets, because our bodies need fat, like good fat. But like we've never been taught that. We're taught like, if you want to lose weight, you should go low fat. Well, actually the best thing for a woman is a high fat diet, because fat is what helps the hormones and your fertility. So like loads of women who are struggling to conceive and things, they're on like because they've done like low fat diets and they've not looked after themselves nutritionally. And it's also complex and it's also interlinked.
Wow.
And they're also the things that then fuel your libido, you know, protein and fats. What fuels like healthy hormones and your libidinal
Mm.
energy. So when we're like, oh, I'm going to have like a low fat diet, you're already like cutting yourself off from the potential of what you need in
Wow.
order for your body to function.
I didn't know that. That's so interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching my fat intake because I've got gallstones. So I've been trying to like, I don't want to have surgery because I hate the idea of having surgery. So I have been having more low fat stuff. I haven't been like totally strict, but I mean, I'm not having any more babies. So it doesn't matter.
Are you
That
sure?
bit doesn't matter, but no, I'm definitely done. Mila keeps asking, and I'm like, no, there's no baby. But you could have one. No, I couldn't. Thank you. You're the last one, darling. But yes, and I definitely think like how we feel about our bodies holds us back from having, connection with ourself, but with our husband, and like feeling like we need to look a certain way, like especially when you think about like porn and like content creators who are, on OnlyFans and stuff. Like we kind of compare ourselves to like we were talking about, the impossible almost, like the Kardashians. And that definitely, I think, takes its toll on a lot of women. I don't know if you've come across that in your work.
So I spoke to a friend about this the other day because she's had an experience where she's like separated from her baby's dad or son's dad, and then she's like met a new man, and she was saying she's found it as a single mom to go out into the world and meet someone new with a body of a mom and not as like her 20-year-old body, that she found that really kind of jarring to begin with. And what she was saying is like her man is obsessed with her body. And we had this great conversation because I was like, mine too. I don't know why I'm so hung up about like the little line here or the extra bit of like weight here or here, because I think and I made a post about this saying we really need to celebrate the men who are loving us as women in the ways that we are, that help us come back to our confidence. Because I think men get a really hard time, but there's so many men out there who are really supporting their women in these journeys where they're like, shit, my body, what's happened? And they're like, I love it. I want it. Like, I don't care, what you like, your
Yeah.
body's that way because you've birthed my children or you've birthed a child. Like, how sexy is that? How powerful is that? All of, and I think we really have to be open to the fact that men actually like real bodies 90% of the time, and not the bodies that you see on porn or on the internet, and not the boobs that are like fake because they're quite hard, and fake all lips with loads of filler in that also are like quite hard and not the same, like. And then I think as well, how do we look after our like vulvas and vaginas in ways that like we feel good about them? Because they should be like full and juicy and not like limp. But then sometimes I think it even just comes down to us like feeling good about them and like speaking in a way, for ages hated the word pussy. I was like, it's so disgusting because it just reminds me of being a teenager. And then there's a book that's really great called Pussy. And after I read it, I was like, oh my God, I'm just going to be like, oh, my pussy. And in this book, she speaks so much about how like just place a hand on your pussy and be like, I love you. I love you. And feel what happens. So I started doing it and I was like, oh. And it's like, we're like, oh, well, I don't really connect to it very often or very much because you either don't have space or time or whatever. We make excuses not to. Well, actually, like the one thing to keep us like feeling good is that, our bodies aren't just our like top half and bottom half and we just miss out the middle. How do we care for that part of us in ways that feels like really positive?
Yeah. I'm going to try that. I'm going to
Literally.
give that a go.
Honestly, it's one of the best things I ever did. And then recently I've just stopped wearing underwear and I really like
How's
it.
that?
Because it just got really hot and I was like, I just don't want to wear underwear because I'm just actually quite hot. And I was just like, I just feel like it's really constricting. So I started wearing dresses without knickers and I was just like, oh, it feels a bit risky. It feels a bit naughty as well. And I kind of like that. And I would like go pick the kids up from school and I'd be like, I've got a dress on and no knickers. And I've stood in front of the school like, no one knows. Like, this is just radical. But it just felt so good. I was like, why are we wearing underwear? And then, it's like cheeky. I'm like, oh, It was like one of these little things that I could just do for me that was like, oh, this makes me feel a little bit sexy and a little bit alive because I feel a little bit naughty and I feel a little bit cheeky, like at any moment. But it's something that's so simple.
Amazing. What happens though if the girls lift your dress up? This is what would happen to me.
I don't think they would. And if they do, they do. Like, what's the worst that can happen?
Exactly.
Like,
Everyone's got one. So,
exactly. I mean,
well, not everyone. Women.
half the population, around half the population have got one. And most people have seen one. So
Yeah. But everyone came out of one.
exactly. Well, or maybe they didn't. Maybe they came out of a C-section, but
Oh, yeah, true.
most people came out of one.
Everyone was conceived in one.
No, also not
Yeah?
true. I don't think
No.
we can even go there because of IVF now.
Yeah, true.
Everyone has the potential to come out of one, and everyone has the potential to either
To be
own one
conceived in one.
or be conceived in one. But yeah, and I think sometimes it's like finding these little ways that we can connect to like that part of us, that little
Yeah.
sexy part. And I don't know, maybe if your daughter's going to lift your dress up, maybe don't do it. But
Yeah. Sometimes I wear shorts and no.
yeah,
And then they're covered then, aren't you?
yeah, I get it.
Yeah.
Just to be
Yeah.
on the safe side.
On the safe side. So before we wrap up, if I'm all about breaking things down into small steps so that it's more manageable and we can actually do it rather than for ADHD is we think one step is actually this huge thing and we need to break it down to be able to actually do it and achieve it and not get overwhelmed. So if someone was starting again after a long time struggling to connect to themselves sexually or to their partner, what small things could they start doing to be reconnected again?
For me, moving your hips has got to be one of the key and that's why for me dance is just so important, because as women we store so much in our hips, and getting that movement back, it's that flow and that juice begins to move. So for me, the simple thing, put on a song that makes you feel great and just dance to it. Move your hips. If you can do it naked, do it naked,
Yeah.
just feel just good in your body and just learn to move with the music. And if it's a song that really brings that out in you, I think that can it's easy to connect to music sometimes, isn't it? Rather than thinking too much about your body or what you're doing. So for me, definitely moving the hips. On self-massage, as in get some massage oil or some nice body cream, get naked in front of a mirror and just rub cream in your body.
Just look after yourself.
Just do that. And all the places that you're really honor them and be oh, if you've got stretch marks, just for example, massage those and be oh my gosh, thank you. I have these because I was able to carry children. What a blessing, has my body been able to do,
Yeah.
That for me
I love that.
Well, it's simple, isn't it? And also I think when we honor ourselves in that way, we're hell, I carried a bit, I'm sexy.
Yeah. Own that.
Exactly.
We're powerful.
Exactly. And then, just find, if it's a case of you finding it difficult to want to have sex, find other ways to be intimate to begin with. You don't have to go from 0 to 0.100, but just find ways to be intimate. Is that being able to ask to have a hand put on you in a certain place, to be able to hold hands, to kiss, to just get naked and lie together? What is it that would feel safe as a first step? Because it's not always a case that you can go, yeah, oh, I was feeling all dried up and now I'm just going to go full throttle. Maybe you can, but for some people that's going to feel more scary.
From the Sahara to the Amazon.
I'm here for it. I'm here for all of it.
Move those hips, get those juices flowing, ladies. You've got this.
Yes.
Oh, thank you so much for being here. Can you tell us where we can find you on the internet to follow you for more?
Yes, you can find me on Instagram. My handle is Anima Maya, which is ANIMA MAIA. Or you can find me as Iysha Barrett Morichon on Facebook. You can also find me on Substack, but you'll find a link to that on either my Facebook or my Instagram.
I'll drop a link into the caption as well.
Thank you so much for having me, and I'm excited
Amazing.
to
Thank you so much.
see what underwear things that you're going to create that I can come hop on.
Yes, I'll have to get my brain storming And if anyone has any ideas themselves, then let me know.
Juicy.
Yeah, juicy. It's going to get juicy, guys. Stay tuned. Thank you so much for being here. I will put all links into the caption of this podcast as well, so you can find Iysha easily and effortlessly. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you for being here. And if you liked this episode, please do share, do comment, do tag friends so that we can get this out there and help more women on their journey to reconnecting and unmasking, or as Iysha had the idea, undressing mum. Maybe that will be the new title of the podcast, perhaps one day.
Interesting, Mum.
Bye, everyone. See you soon.